What's up, everybody? This is Eric from the Lakeside Gamer. My most anticipated game of 2026 is World Order, which is a game created by the maker of Hegemony, Hegemonic Games. And as I am preparing for that game to come out and have been looking over the rules and preparing myself to play it and create some videos about it, I noticed that there were a lot of overlaps with that game and another one of my favorite games, Twilight Struggle. So in this video, in anticipation of World Order coming out sometime this spring or early summer, I'm going to do a comparison of these two games. There are similarities and there are differences, so we're going to hit on 5 of each. The first similarity we're going to mention is the fact that these are games of geopolitical influence. In both cases, you have a world map and you've got different countries and regions of the world that you are trying to influence, which will give you better positioning and ultimately get you points that you are going to be able to win the game with. The difference in this area is that there are different types of influence, and how this influence plays out is going to be very different. And also, since it's a world map, the game Twilight Struggle is a game that took place during the Cold War. So you see the maps reflecting that from the time period of the 1950s through the 1980s, whereas the game World Order is going to take place in the year 2010. So we have a updated map that reflects how things were 15 years ago. A second similarity we see is we have 2 of the sides that you can be are the United States and Russia. For the game Twilight Struggle, that's in the form of the USSR, whereas the game World Order is going to have Russia, the more modern country, as the participant in the game. But a difference with this is going to be that is all you have as options in the game Twilight Struggle, which reflects the fact that they were 2 major world superpowers and every other country was on their chessboard of dominance. Whereas in the modern day, the world is a little bit more complex, and that's reflected in the fact that in the game World Order, it's a 4-player game. So you also have the EU and China as playable teams. So when you are playing the game, you are trying to use a little bit more diplomacy to make allies, and you're trying to work the board and work the international political table to make sure that you are making the allies that you need to accomplish your goals. Whereas in Twilight Struggle, it was you versus your opponent, and you did what you could to help yourself and harm them, and there was no working together in that game. Another similarity between these two games is the fact that actions for both games are based on the play of cards. So card play is going to be very important in both games. But a difference in this area is that every action in Twilight Struggle is based on the main text. World Order has playable cards, and the alternative is to discard those cards to do standard actions. That's relevant as a difference because in World Order, there's no harm in making a choice. You could either play what's on the card or do other standard actions. Twilight Struggle, the choices that players make quite often have detrimental effects to them, so they have to weigh those decisions and decide how they are going to do that. Additionally, we also see another difference in that World Order has asymmetric countries with different strengths and weaknesses that you have to play very differently from one another. Even though they have somewhat similar card sets, they are going to have limitations on them that are different from one another. In Twilight Struggle, the cards very much are either helpful or hindering to one side or the other, or they're neutral cards that both players play the same. So that doesn't make any difference in terms of the starting points for each country beyond where their influence is and where their world power is located on the map. Another similarity is players are trying to use their influence to get victory points over their opponents to win the game. And each game does that differently, both in how you get victory points and when you score those points. And a significant difference with this is that in the game Twilight Struggle, the game can move very quickly in that it's a tug of war to 20 points. Both sides start at 0, and whenever a team gets points, they move the marker for points toward them, and then ultimately whoever gets to 20 first is going to win that game. And if say the Russians get 5 and the US gets 7, they have to move it back to 0 and then go up to 2 to get those initial points. So it's a back and forth, and the game can actually end pretty quickly if one side just gets a bunch of points. So the game can be short. Many times it will play out for quite a while, for many turns, but the game can end immediately at any point. On the other hand, World Order is a game that is going to have the multiple rounds, and they will play through all of those rounds until completion. So that game will always be a longer game. Twilight Struggle can be a game that's long and maybe even just as long, if not longer, than World Order, but there is always the prospect that that game will end immediately, whereas you do not have that element present in World Order. Another similarity that is great for both games is a fairly simple setup. The games on maps that I've played in other realms have often taken a long time to set up. Here's looking at you, War of the Ring, Rebellion, and Axis and Allies. But both of these games have a few pieces they need to get out on the board, but as the game goes on, more is added, which is nice to pull these games out of the box and then just get going fairly quickly with them. The setup and gameplay will end up looking very different for both games, as Twilight Struggle is built entirely around a deck of cards and influence tokens. Yes, more cards are added to the game later, and there are various tracks on the board that significantly influence the games, but even these tracks use simple cardboard squares as markers. World Order brings a variety of pieces, player boards, currency, and card types to the table. This raises the level of complexity of World Order, but also results in a wider range of outcomes and interactions between players. So these are some initial thoughts on 5 similarities and differences between Twilight Struggle, which is one of the top games, in my opinion, of all time, and on Board Game Geek, it's rated in the top 20, so it has held the test of time over the course of the last decade. And I'm anticipating World Order will also be a great game. Hegemony is a top 50 game as well, and also one of my favorite economic games of all time. So the fact that the game World Order is going to take elements from both games and put them together makes me really excited for when that comes out. So, if you are interested in seeing more World Order content when the game releases, I'm planning on making rules videos and helping people to become familiar with the game. And that's going to come sometime in the next few months, whenever I receive the game from Hegemonic. So if you're interested in checking that out, definitely hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I hope to talk to you soon.